Joe, you've had a coaching staff that's intact once again, and I wonder how that helps you, your staff, find the right fits for these schemes.
We've had an opportunity to be together for 3 years, so we've gotten to know each other. We've gotten to know the likes and dislikes and the type of player that we all gravitate towards through the process, through the draft process, and that continuity, and it's helped us get on the same page come draft day.
I know, you, I'm sure, run into them. I run into them. People who think they can evaluate talent because they watch film. But it's really got to be difficult to take a 20, 21, 22-year-old kid and project them into a man's game. Is that the most difficult part of the whole thing?
You know, it is a difficult part, Dave, and sometimes you're looking at 20-year-old underclassmen that are coming out, and so if you're walking into a school like South Dakota State and trying to see how a player is going to compare against these not only these players that are here in the NFL, but how would they do against Alabama, how they do in the Southeast Conference. It's a challenge, and our scouts have done a great job at that over the years. But you're right. You're not always comparing apples to apples in terms of projecting players in the league.
What are the exact characteristics that you look for? What does it take to be a Philadelphia Eagle?
We talk about this a lot, and the characteristics that we're looking for. Guys that are just passionate about football. I mean, they love the game. Not just what the game brings them, but they love the game, and they're constantly competitive. They're going to be able to face any situation, face any kind of adversity. They're going to be able to compete and withstand it.
Joe, do you think it's fair to evaluate a draft after 1 year? And if not, is there a period of time that you use to look back and evaluate?
Right. I think I don't think it's fair to evaluate a draft after 1 year. I think it's okay to be excited about guys, and obviously there's a few guys to be excited about in our recent drafts. But I think, as we've seen in the past, guys develop at different rates. Guys face different adversities. There's a lot of circumstances that young players have, whether it's opportunity, whether it's injury. So you have to evaluate it almost on a case-by-case basis. And not only do we evaluate how we've done in the draft, but we evaluate how we've done not only for the Philadelphia Eagles, but around the league, because we scout hundreds, thousands of players each year. So, normally, like last year, we only selected 5. Right now, we have 7 picks. So, it's important for us to go through and self-scout.
7 picks, but 3 of them in the top 57. What does that mean to you? What kind of opportunity is that for the Eagles?
It's a great opportunity to have 3 picks within the top 57 in the draft. It's a great opportunity to bolster our roster and really find some difference makers moving forward.
Do you ever go into a draft saying, we must get a player at this position or at that position, or is that a recipe for disaster?
I think every single person, coaches and scouts, they'll have their perfect draft, and it'll probably be their by position. I do think you get in trouble if you try to force positions, force players that aren't exactly at that right fit within the draft.
So what is kind of the overall mantra of the Eagles heading into the draft?
You might get bored by me saying this, Dave, but I still think it's best player available moving forward. We're going to find the best fit for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Is that difficult to do just in general from a year-to-year basis? I mean, I would imagine there are teams that don't come into this draft with the feel that their roster is as thoroughly complete as the Eagles feel.
As far as the roster, and we ideally would like to approach each draft with having a roster that is almost bulletproof when it comes to needs. So ideally, that's what you try to do. That doesn't always happen each year, but it certainly helps from a strategic vantage point.
Joe, why do you love the evaluation part of it so much? When did you kind of fall in love with being a scout and doing this for a living?
Initially I love the behind-the-scenes aspect of roster building. Obviously, behind the scenes has now moved to center stage almost, with the spotlight being on the draft now. But I was always intrigued by going into school with a blank sheet of paper. You're starting from scratch on these guys, and it's your job to paint the picture of exactly what this player is and how this player is going to help your team, how he fits within the team, who he beats out, maybe who he's not better than. So I always loved the ability to paint that picture and meet different coaches, meet different coaching staffs, and the great tradition that is college football, and going to some of these games and being around some of these atmospheres. I mean, there's just so much to love about the scouting process, and that's just the regular season, and then getting through the combine and these all-star games and seeing these guys get together, seeing small school guys get together with SEC guys and seeing them get a chance to compete for a week in Mobile. I could go on and on, but those are some of the highlights.
It sounds like there's so much data. I mean, for the fans, can you kind of quantify? Is it possible even to quantify how much data you have to sift through to come down to that final grade or that final evaluation?
Our scouts do a tremendous job of gathering information. They do a great job of evaluating players, but they're able to get into the school, develop contacts, get unbelievable information on these guys. Our analytics staff does a great job of getting data and helping us through this process. So it's hard to quantify just how much data we have on one single player. I mean, when you come into our draft board, you're going to see a player card, but what you don't see are the hours and hours of work that's gone into that one player. So that's a unique thing.
What will the feeling be like in general on Monday morning? You come into the office, smoke is cleared, you've settled things, you look up and you take a look at the new Philadelphia Eagles. What will make you happy at that time?
I'll be happy is that we were able to go through another draft. We were all able to come together, speak our mind, do the work, speak our mind, have a setting where we can maybe not always agree on the exact same thing, but we come to the best players for the Philadelphia Eagles. And knowing that we did it together, and knowing that we did it with the scouting staff, with the coaching staff, analytics. There's a lot of people that have had an opportunity to meet the players throughout this draft process, and then we're able to all come together and do something special. So that's always a great feeling the day after the draft.
And then how long before the realization occurs that you've got a lot more work to do for 2019, and oh, by the way, 2020 is right around the corner?
Yeah, not long after that euphoria, I guess. Not long after that, you're immediately thinking about the 2020 draft for next year. And all right, we got to get going. I mean, these guys have, most of these guys have already gotten 3 seasons under their belt. We got a lot of work to do. Let's catch up. Let's get going. Let's get our draft board going. Let's get our spring scouting going. And I know our scouts are that excited too to get going on the next draft. So, yeah, you don't sit around and you don't sit on your laurels for too long.
Joe, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.